Guru on 95.7 The Game.
All righty, Matt Steinmetz, Daryl the Guru Johnson with you, and let's head right out to the Boxer and Gerson guest line. On the line, Audacy NFL insider Ross Tucker. Insider calls are brought to you by Old Spice. Men have skin too. What's up, Ross? How you doing, man?
I am doing fantastic. I'm talking to you guys. I'm right in the middle of Radio Row right now here in Vegas, and I just did a few in person, and now I'm talking to you guys on the phone. I'm actually like 8 feet away from Cam Newton right now.
Oh.
And I'm looking at him, and I think people would be absolutely shocked if they just saw how big that guy was. I remember when he was at Auburn, I saw him at the Super Bowl when he was going to be a rookie between the Packers and the Steelers, and he walked into the room where I was at with my wife. And, I mean, first of all, really good-looking dude, but secondly, like, I mean, I thought he was a tight end. I thought he was like a big tight end. You know what I mean? Like, I thought he was like 6'5", 260 tight end. And I'm like, oh, crap, that's Cam. Like, I mean, it's just – he's one of those guys – there aren't that many of them, but he's one of those guys that just kind of, you know, takes your breath away when you see him because you're surprised a little bit just how big he is.
Yeah, and we'll be down there tomorrow, Ross, in case you want to come by and say hello.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be here tomorrow. I would love to say hello. I'll be here tomorrow, and then I'm taking the red eye back tomorrow night because my daughters have a daddy
recital.
Daughter dance.
They got a recital. It's always a recital.
We got to catch you before you leave, Ross.
Daddy daughter dance at their new school.
Wow.
So I'm taking the red eye back tomorrow night.
Cumberland Valley?
Sunday, what's that?
Cumberland Valley?
No, I love the Guru. Don't you love? Yeah, I wish I loved anything as much as Steiny does, trying to make Pennsylvania references in the Bay Area that nobody cares about at all. I mean, if I were you, if I were your program director, I would fine you every time you make a reference to a Pennsylvania high school that nobody in your audience has ever heard of.
Hey, Ross, we had Ed. Let me just tell Ross real quick, Stein. We had the great Ed McCaffrey on yesterday, who was a baller in Pennsylvania. And I'm going to have Evan, this was something that came out of his mouth during the interview, Ross. Take a listen.
You just want to talk basketball, don't you?
He's proud of PA, man. Steiny is proud of his hometown.
So you probably know Ed McCaffrey went to Allentown Central Catholic. And
hey, you guys want to hear something? Let me jump in real quick. Literally was talking with Ed when my phone rang.
Oh, wow.
Literally was right here at Radio Row.
I remember that guy.
We used to do a show on satellite radio, was talking with Ed when my phone rang, and it was you guys.
Wow.
I said, Ed, sorry, I got to take this. It's actually San Francisco. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Funny. Yes, and he was a very good high school basketball player. Allentown Central Catholic. I think the people in Marin are big Allentown Central Catholic fans. Big.
Yeah, we had fun with Ed McCaffrey. Hey, let me ask you about and I get it. You've never played in a Super Bowl, but how as an analyst and somebody who's been around the game and played with guys who've been, how do you account for going into a game, a guy's first ever Super Bowl appearance? How do you even weigh that into any of your analysis, or can you?
You know, I think I weigh it based on what they've done in other big games. I mean, I'm assuming you're referring primarily to Purdy.
Sure, or even Jake Moody, for that matter, you know.
Yeah, well, he's a different category, that guy. I mean, I still, that was a third-round pick, right?
Yeah.
That, like, hurts my heart that John Lynch took a kicker in the third round. Like, John Lynch was like a bad you-know-what, nailing people over the middle of the field, safety, and he took a kicker in the third round. I want to say to him, like, John, the position is just so transient, and it's so mental. You cannot take a guy in the third round, and he hasn't been good, right? I mean, that's one of the big stories. He's been a disappointment. Is that fair?
A little bit, I think. A little bit. He's been a little shaky, I think 49er fans would tell you.
I mean, I don't think that they feel. Let's put it this way: they don't have the kicking edge in the game over Harrison Butker.
Right.
That's for sure. So I think my perception of that would be I'd be worried about Moody because I feel like he has not been great. Which playoff game did he miss the kick? Was it the Green Bay game?
Yeah, he missed one against Green Bay. He came back and made one in that game too.
Yep, and then but for Purdy, he did it in the last drive against the Packers when they needed him to. He did it in the second half against the Lions when they needed him to. So I would feel pretty good about Purdy in his first Super Bowl.
Ross, help me out. I'm so conflicted, man. When I look at the totality of the Niners offense compared to the Chiefs in regard to pieces and what's around it, it's the Niners for me, and Brock's a great story. But I look at Kansas City. They got out of Baltimore. Guys are catching the ball. But Patrick Mahomes is, I'm going to call him the modern-day Tom Brady or Jordan. Who do you have more confidence in? What defense on stopping the opposing offense? The Chiefs' D against this Niner O or the Niner D against Kansas City's O?
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, right? I talked about this. We might have talked about it last week. I am still really surprised that the Niners are favored in the game. And in fairness, we talked about this on the Even Money betting podcast. Those lines are based upon power ratings over the course of the entire season. And they do a good job, or they try to do a good job, of not overly rating any one game, right? Like, they try not to overreact to what we've seen the last couple games. And I get that, and I respect that. But, man, I mean, the Niners have been fortunate to win those two games. The Chiefs have clearly, I thought, been the better team in all three. I have a tough time having the Niners favored. I mean, I think maybe you guys disagree, but I feel like if these two teams play against each other 10 times right now, I think the Chiefs would win 7 of them, maybe 8. I think the Chiefs' defense is better. I think the Chiefs' offense is playing better. I think the Chiefs are a better team. Now, all of that being said, anything can happen in a one-game scenario. We know that. Look, we saw the Packers take it to the Cowboys. We saw the Packers taking it to the obviously to the Niners for a while in that game and had a million chances to win it. So the Niners just have to play their best game. Hopefully they have a better plan than do the Chiefs, and they got to find a way to be able to make the plays at the end to win the game if it's a close game. But even that, like, are you really taking Kyle and Purdy over Mahomes and Reed late in a close game right now? Which reminds me, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw my tweet at Ross Tucker NFL. You'll appreciate this one, Steiny. I realized Kyle Shanahan is at the Andy Reid in Philadelphia phase of his career.
Yep.
That's where he's at. Where he's been to 4 conference championship games. Now this will be his second Super Bowl as opposed to just one for Andy Reid, but that's where he's at, where they're like a contender every year, conference championship game every year, but hasn't been able to get the whole thing done yet.
Well, yeah, no doubt about it. We're joined by Ross Tucker. Insider Calls brought to you by Old Spice Gentleman's Blend Body Wash, providing exfoliation plus 24/7 moisturization because men have skin too. Look, we had Brian Baldinger on yesterday, and he talks about how, you think about different things during the course of a week leading up to the Super Bowl, and that's one of the things that just kind of hit me today. I took 3 important players on each team, I said Mahomes, Butker, Andy Reid, and then I said Purdy, Moody, and Shanahan. I just said, if the 49ers are to get this done, and I'm not saying they can't, they're going to have, Brock Purdy's in his second year. He's going to have to, they're going to have to beat Patrick Mahomes. And they're going to have a rookie kicker as opposed to Butker. And Andy Reid's done it, and Shanahan hasn't. And when you just take a zoom out like that, I'm kind of with you. I think it's but I wouldn't say, I think this game's a toss-up is what I'm getting at. I don't see the Chiefs winning 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 5, but that's the only place we kind of differ.
So you think it's a toss-up?
I do.
On what? I mean, have you watched the Niners play the last couple games?
I kind of think
the Chiefs play in Buffalo, in Baltimore.
I kind of think this is one of those great like great basketball player versus a great team. And I think the team's going to end up winning the game, kind of.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Well, we'll see. I do think most of my prop bets on the Even Money Betting podcast have been, related to the Niners over. Like, I like McCaffrey over 33.5 receiving yards. I just think he'll get the ball quite a bit in the passing game. I also am a big fan of Brock Purdy over 11.5 rushing yards as well.
That's
I
it?
think he'll have a pretty good chance to do that.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have at least one run for like 15 yards, don't you think?
No, we're laughing at the line. That's rather, it seems low.
11.5.
He might get that in the first quarter.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ross, let me ask you.
Both of those, I think, are crazy.
Ross, we were just having, Steiny brought up a point, man, to start the show, and it was about, you played the game, and he was just talking about motivation and the fact that maybe the Chiefs, I don't want to speak for them, but the fact that they've been here and they've been in this game and they got 2 rings, and the Niners are, you just talked about it, Kyle with the pressure, he's at the Andy Reid stage, and Cam Newtons of the world talking about Brock. Do you think it all, in a game like this, one team could come in and another team want it maybe more than them, and that could help them or benefit them? Or do you think, it's just about what you're doing between the lines?
Yeah, I'm not big on the motivation. I'm not big on the motivation in the Super Bowl, man. I mean, I have a problem with that part of it. I think you can make you can debate, who has more experience and the value that has. But I don't think you can debate the motivation thing. I mean, both teams are trying to win the Super Bowl.
And you can never really decide who was, things are going to happen, who was more motivated. You know what I mean? There's no metric to, that's why he messed up or fumbled you.
Exactly correct. But also, everybody's got to break through at some point, and maybe it'll be time for the Niners to break through. I will say this. I'll be thrilled for Kyle Shanahan. I'll be thrilled for Juszczyk and McCaffrey and Purdy and all those guys if they win. I like when new guys get to win it, and those guys are all awesome. I'll be thrilled with them. Because I also I love when people eviscerate stupid narratives. So I'm rooting for Purdy in that regard. That's for sure.
Ross, let me quick ask you something about Patrick Mahomes, because it feels like people don't think he had a great year, and I guess maybe numbers wise he might not have, but this guy's been to 6 straight AFC championships. This is his 4th Super Bowl in 6 years. Over the course of that period of time, is he playing the best football of his career? Is he doing more with less than he's ever had? Where is Patrick Mahomes in terms of his career arc?
It's so funny. I was just saying, I feel like he's doing the reverse Brady on some level, where he went from Brady started out, just kind of leaning on the defense and not making mistakes.
Right.
And then became super productive. Whereas Mahomes started out putting up huge numbers and he was fantastic and all those things. And now Mahomes is at the stage of his career where he's trying to lean on the defense a little bit and make sure that he's not the one that blows the game for them, which is really funny to see through the transition for him. He's at the early part of the Brady career.
Ross, a lot of action at Radio Row? What are we in for?
Oh, man, I've been out here fist bumping so many people as they've been walking around. It's so funny. Literally, while I've been talking to you guys, I fist bumped Cam Hayward, Raheem Mostert. It's so funny. They're all come up to me or I'm going up to them while we're there. It's pretty funny. Now I'm about to get wings as soon as you guys hang up.
Oh, nice.
Look at you.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, Ross, thank you as always.
See you
really
tomorrow,
appreciate it.
hopefully,
And hopefully I bump into you, get a chance to introduce myself tomorrow.
Sounds great. That'd be amazing. See you guys.
All right, that's Ross Tucker, Audacy NFL Insider. Ross Tucker, Insider Calls brought to you by Old Spice. Men have skin too. Get off me, Niner fans.